Hi guys, it's your Real Housewives historian, and I came to talk a couple different franchises of the Real Housewives. So if you want to know what's going on behind the scenes, then you should definitely hit that like button and follow so that you don't miss anything. Guys, today we're going to be talking about a couple different blinds that dropped. One from the Real Housewives in New Jersey. We're going to be talking Potomac and the Real Housewives at OC. So I'm going to give you guys a lot of information quickly. I hope I don't talk too fast. Also want to let you know that we're always talking blinds on my Instagram page, HW Historian. So I don't always get to make a video about the blinds that come out, but they are always posted on my Instagram, and my followers are so amazing. They're always conversating, guessing, investigating. And if you want to be a part of that, get on my Instagram or comment below. So we're going to try to do the same thing on YouTube. All right, guys, there was a blind item that dropped, and it basically said that this East Coast OG housewife is being phased out. She knows it. She's okay with it. She thinks she's on to bigger and better things, and her co-star is on her way out too, even if she doesn't know it yet. Who do you guys think that is? Comment below. I'm going to tell you who I think it is. It's Teresa G. We're not seeing as much of her as we have this season already, and we're only a couple of episodes in. We know that her and Louis are engaged, and there's supposedly a deal going on privately right now for their engagement and their wedding. You know, originally when Teresa started dating him, she said she didn't want him to film. She didn't really want a boyfriend that filmed at all in general, I think, but she wasn't going to make him film. But there's so many rumors circulating about how he was like looking for fame. Not even fortune, just looking for fame, that he wanted to film. So maybe that's why they took the deal, and they're making a deal to like get married and, you know, have their own spinoff. I'm assuming that it will be something like Kim Zolciak's like Tardy for the Party, and the whole, like maybe a 3-part series, and they'll see how viewers go. She's not the first housewife, guys, to get a spinoff. Look at Portia. She just got Portia Family Matters. That was just a disaster. But I think that producers are doing a good thing here. And I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why. Number one, Teresa really did put the New Jersey franchise on the map 150%. And I'm going to tell you guys why a little bit. If you have someone working and they're working like their livelihood depends on it, like their 4 children's livelihood depends on it, working like they are a single mother and their husband's in prison and they have no other incomes and they have a house payment and 4 kids to take care of, she put her blood, sweat, and tears into the Real Housewives in New Jersey. And because she had to. She had to make it work. It was her only income. That's all she had. She had to be successful on New Jersey so that she could get other deals to make money and pay back restitution and take care of her kids. So Teresa has experience, you know, from years ago this whole time. And, you know, she talks a couple different languages, and she may get things like jumbled up, but she's not a stupid woman. She is not a stupid woman, and she has worked like her life has depended on it, and it shows. I think that the person being phased out is definitely Melissa. I think that we wouldn't really have seen Melissa as much as we did if it had not been for Teresa and the whole family dynamic. The only thing that may get in the way of that is Andy Cohen loves Joe Gorga, and he loves the dynamic between the Real Housewives of New Jersey's husbands. And I think that's why we've seen Dolores for the last couple of seasons. Even though she doesn't bring anything to the season, she's never had like an amazing season, carried the season. But she brings Frank, and that's enough for Andy. So that's why I think we see Dolores, and that's why I think we see Melissa. And I think how Andy will reroute this is, if Teresa has her own show, then obviously she loves her family. She's tight with her family. Her brother would be on the show, right? But is Teresa and Joe okay with Melissa stepping down from the Real Housewives of New Jersey and then stepping over to the Teresa show? I don't see that happening. I just don't see that happening. I mean, maybe they'll figure it out and it won't be the Teresa show. It'll be like the Gorga show, and they'll do something, you know, make them like producers. I don't know. Somehow they are going to have to sell this to Melissa and to Joe and to Teresa for that matter. I feel like she really wouldn't want to be dealing with her brother and sister-in-law on a business level and filming with them forever. Like, this is her chance to kind of break away from them and film what she wants to. But on the other hand, if it's going to bring drama and viewers to her spinoff, then I think that that's something to consider. Bravo is so smart, guys. You know, it makes a lot of sense that they have shown Gia this season. We've seen her in the last couple of episodes. She had a scene with Joe where they were fighting. Then she had a confessional look. We also saw her selling her sweatshirts. So I really feel like they are selling us Gia so that we all resonate and, you know, make connections so that when Teresa breaks off into her own spinoff next year or whenever it's coming, that the viewers that were watching for Teresa, and even if they didn't like Teresa but they liked Gia, or they didn't like Gia but they liked Teresa, those viewers are gonna follow to that spinoff. I think that Teresa has 4 daughters and she has the content to, honest to God, make a great spinoff that comes back for multiple seasons. I mean, look at what Kris Jenner did with her kids and Keeping Up with the Kardashians. That was 20 seasons made them billionaires. So don't think that that's out of the realm for Teresa and her 4 girls, because they are smart women and they have not had it easy and they know how to make some money, honey. All right, let's go on to, we had a blind item about Candice leaving the Real Housewives of Potomac. Guys, we have to remember that she is a disaster on Twitter. And she did tweet that Andy Cohen was like taking food, was feeding his son with the money that he had made off of Black women's backs. And I'm not saying that that's not true. I'm not saying that. I am just saying that you can't go on Twitter and say whatever you want about your boss and then think that you have job security. Regardless of what has happened in that franchise, regardless of any of that, Andy Cohen is your effing boss. And I can't get on Twitter and say that about my boss. Are you kidding me? I would walk into work and be fired the next day. Like, this is where Candice gets messed up, because she doesn't perceive reality correctly. She doesn't think it through. She doesn't even regret it. I don't even think she apologized or anything. So she's just, that's where I feel like she's just really, really out of touch. And that's when people really I don't even want to use a Meredith Mark words, but they disengage from her because it's so atrocious. It's just so atrocious that it doesn't even make any sense. So people can't understand it. They can't relate to it. They don't want to deal with it, and they don't want to see it on their TV screens. And I think that's how they feel about Candice. No, I don't think Giselle's gunning for her behind the scenes. I mean, it's possible, but I really don't think that she is. I think they intended for Escala to be Candice's replacement, but Escala was so boring and she brought absolutely nothing to the season that they knew that wasn't gonna work. I mean, she was like invited to the reunion, I think like 2 weeks before the reunion, and we saw how much we've seen of her at the reunion. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So she can't be a replacement. And Mia, love Mia, but she's a little bit of a loose cannon. I mean, her husband, she already has a great job and they have a great income. So she's not someone that's probably dependent on her Bravo paycheck. And she's a little bit loose. I mean, we all saw her at Christmas time, how she got on Instagram and was mad because Giselle and Robin's kids got something from Nicki Minaj for Christmas and her son didn't, and she said it without saying it, and then she said she was gonna have to go buy the Gucci store out. So I think they're nervous with her. They don't know what's gonna happen with her. They don't know if she's gonna stay or not, if she's gonna walk or not, if she's just gonna quit out of nowhere. They just don't know. So she's not gonna be able to be their replacement. And we saw all of the emails, blind items that were going around that they were casting for Real Housewives of Potomac. So it makes a lot of sense, guys. I don't know if we're going to see her come back next season. The women haven't, you know, they haven't started filming yet, where they're still a couple weeks out. And we know that a lot of times some women won't even get their contract till like a couple days before. If Bravo's giving you a shitty contract, they're going to wait and give it to you the last second. So I think that's exactly what we're seeing here. We know that Chris hasn't had it easy. You know, that's her husband, and he works in the restaurant business, the hospitality business, whatever. He's a professional chef. He does classes online. He supposedly owned a restaurant. We've never really confirmed or denied that. However, we know that the restaurants were greatly affected during COVID. So I'm assuming that he's probably not making a great great income right now. And we actually saw Dorothy talk about that last season anyways, and how frustrated she was because it sounds like Dorothy invested in her daughter and her son-in-law, and she really invested hard. I think she sold Candice to us. She had to get her that house and, you know, really sell Candice to Bravo and sell them to viewers, and that, you know, Dorothy footed the bill for all of that, and she probably would like to see a little bit of repayment somewhere along the lines. And to be honest with you, Dorothy seems so adamant about it. Like, she feels very like okay in what she's saying, firm, and that's her truth, that it makes me think there were a lot of probably borrowing and like lending and not paying back in transactions between just Candice and her mother for amounts of money for different things. And maybe Chris was not aware of what was taking place, or he just didn't care, or he didn't want to ask, or where the money was coming from, which is not uncommon in a relationship. But I'm assuming that was probably the case. There's probably many things that Candice can't afford that she has had, you know, to have her mom foot the bill for, and Chris probably has no idea. And so then that causes conflict between Chris and Dorothy, and Chris doesn't even know why. And here it's because, you know, Candice has been borrowing money from her, and, you know, he hasn't really been making a lot of money the last couple of years. And I think that both the women have been taking care of him. I don't know if that's the case or not, but I know that dude doesn't make a lot of money. They share a Mercedes. Like, they have one car, it's a Mercedes. It's like the baby Mercedes, which is fine, whatever. But even so, all of that Dorothy bought too. And with that, let me know what you think in the comments about Candice. Is she leaving the Real Housewives of Potomac? Is she getting fired? Is it because of her tweets and what a disaster she is on Twitter? I also want to leave you guys with this too. Monique is going to be on, I don't know if you guys heard this, but Monique is going to be on Love and Marriage of DC. Carlos King is actually going to be producing this. And if that name sounds familiar, it should. He was a big producer for Bravo, and he actually, like, the 3 best seasons out of all of the Real Housewives of franchises, Atlanta is like, has 3 in the top 10 spots, and all 3 of those seasons were produced by Carlos King. So I may end up watching this with Monique. I'm not sure. I saw a little bit of an advertisement on her Instagram. She looks amazing. I would really have liked to have seen her on my screen for Potomac. I felt really bad. Bravo did them very, very dirty. Monique was going to come back until after they aired the reunion and saw the bad editing and how terrible Bravo did her. But maybe this is best. Maybe this is where she's supposed to be, and I guess we'll have to wait and see. Let me know if you guys are going to be watching. It's Love and Marriage of DC. So then I was scrolling through my Twitter, and I came across a blind item, and this one is pretty much circling everywhere, especially since the OC aired last night. Night before, sorry. Jen Armstrong, apparently, supposedly, allegedly addicted to opioids and buying non-FDA approved Botox and fillers because she was buying them off the street from a convicted felon, is what the blind says, because she wasn't paying her vendors because she is addicted to opioids. Immediately, first of all, I hope that is not true at all. I would feel really terrible because addiction destroys everything good in your life. And if she's not paying vendors, then she's obviously spending a lot of money on drugs, because she has a Botox filler plastic surgeon whatever you want to call it, office in Orange County, which some of the wealthiest people in the United States live there. Like, all of these women get tons of Botox, tons of filler. There are no price tags. You're in the area where you're going to make the most amount of money that you could ever even think of. So I know she has to make hella money. So you must be spending it somewhere. And if you're on drugs, that's probably where you're spending it. I haven't personally read the docket from a case that she's being sued for regarding the Botox and the fillers. But what I'm hearing is that it is all in the paperwork. This is, you know, pretty much true that she was pumping people full of non-FDA approved filler and Botox, which is really sad. It took me back to the episode whenever they were in Mexico and Jennifer went with the girls to meet with Heather's real estate person, and they went and looked at the land, and she was like saying how bad her foot and ankle hurt her because she had some kind of cancer and she was in a lot of pain, and she said that she hated pain pills, and so she had to do a lot of like stretching and exercising on it. It kind of makes a little bit of sense. I mean, this is allegedly, of course. I feel terrible whenever these blinds come out that are so harshly for these women that have children. And I always think, like, if this is true, like, this is a really shitty way to find out. But if it's true, then I'm sure they probably already know, and she's probably already been to rehab a couple of different times. And if she hasn't, she'll be on her way to a rehab soon. So I feel bad. I hope that she's not addicted to any kind of pain pills or opioids. It makes sense to me. I understand, like, she has to pay a nanny and he doesn't work and they have kids and a house payment. And I'm sure she has a lot of bills and responsibilities. But again, she owns her own practice in one of the richest parts of the country. And she's working on people that, like, these people, Gucci, I mean, she shouldn't be having money problems. Point blank period, she should not be having money problems. She makes enough money to go around. So I don't know if the opioid addiction is actually true, if she has another type of addiction, but it definitely would answer some questions that we have about why she, you know, sugar daddies are suing her and she can't pay her vendors. Kelly Dodd even mentioned on one of her reviews of the Real Housewives of Orange County that she went to Jennifer to get some Botox, and one of her friends was like really pissed at her for doing that because she said that Jennifer owed her husband like $50,000 or $60,000. There was also like another medical, they did like medical equipment. She had bought an equipment or leased it. I think it was more like it was like, instead of buying the equipment, because it's very expensive, the company comes in, you lease it, they lease it to you and you pay every month or every 6 months. Well, she didn't pay and they came and took it all out of the office. So we also know that she like tried to talk to her husband and he didn't want to talk on camera. So that to me circles back around that there's something going on that, you know, she doesn't want viewers to know. And that's okay, but you're on the Real Housewives of Orange County. And if you hadn't watched the seasons, you should have watched them before you came on there and know that these women are not going to give up. There's probably like 100 Housewives viewers Googling and searching to see what they can find on Jennifer Armstrong after this blind dropped, I promise. So make sure you comment. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions, make sure you comment and make sure you like my video and follow. Again, check out my Instagram, HW Historian, and I hope all of you guys have a great evening.